Good Friday morning. It's November the 21st. I'm Will Puckett. Thanks for joining us for Catch Up Quick. It's our daily fastcast that airs at 10:30 in the morning, Monday through Friday. We begin with the Fentress County Sheriff Michael Reagan and a former detective have been charged with tampering with government records. This started with an investigation from the TBI. Back in April, agents say they began looking into allegations of possible misconduct at the sheriff's office. They say they found Sheriff Reagan told former Detective Jerry Mifflin to falsely complete mandatory training courses, which would have made the sheriff eligible for a bonus. Both were arrested yesterday after a grand jury returned indictments against the pair. Sheriff Reagan released after being booked into the jail on a $10,000 bond. The sheriff's office says there won't be any issues with day-to-day operations. Well, we're learning more about why the interim director at the Knox County Juvenile Detention Center resigned. In county emails requested by WVLT News, Brian Bivens says it's because of a lack of transparency and the county not giving the center enough money to operate. In an email, Bivens sent the county's chief operating officer, Dwight Vandevate, 2 days before resigning. He asked him, was the county transparent when he was asked to take on the role? He adds that he was hired to, quote, limp this facility to January, and when the Knox County Sheriff's Office was expected to take over. But that's not set in stone. County officials telling us last week they're well aware KCSO doesn't have to take on the center. Another issue for Bivens, money. He adds in his emails to the county COO there's $80 million in the rainy day fund, and the county hasn't given them any additional money for operations.
We're able to operate and keep the kids safe, and at the same time not have to ask for additional money, let things wash out, and we'll start afresh with the new budget year.
Now, the county COO told Bivens he wanted to help Bivens with the transition, but Bivens felt there were too many problems that he simply could not fix. Well, some Tennessee parents are filing a lawsuit against the school voucher program. They claim that the program goes against the state's constitution and takes money away from public schools. The Tennessee voucher program started this school year with some lawmakers wanting to expand it. It uses state dollars to send children to private schools. Now, parents, meanwhile, will be able to reapply for the program starting on December 9th. For students who are now receiving scholarships. The window then opens for new applicants on January the 13th. All applications must be filed by January the 30th. The University of Tennessee is asking a federal judge to keep an assistant professor suspended for comments she made on social media about Charlie Kirk's death. Dr. Tamar Sharinian is being fired by UT. She sued the university, claiming a violation of her free speech. However, UT officials argue her comments are not protected by the First Amendment. We did reach out to the university about the lawsuit. They say they don't comment on pending litigation. Well, we're now getting reaction about the Secretary of State's letter requiring public libraries to review their children's books. Secretary Trey Hargett notified the 181 libraries in the Tennessee Regional Library System that they have until January 19th to respond. This from a compliance letter we got from an open records request. The letter says public libraries use state and federal money to buy books, so they must follow state and federal age appropriate laws. Hargett is requiring libraries to look through their children's books for any material that does not follow the law. Hargett says he supports libraries having control in deciding their material, but in the letter he says he cannot allow one library to potentially harm more than 200. Well, a Knoxville restaurant is getting international recognition for their bagels. Potchki on Cedar Bluff is the location that's recognized as the third best overall bagel restaurant in the world. This at the New York City's Bagel Fest. It's a competition that recognizes the top bagel joints. They also went home with 3 gold medals.
Your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Kyle Granger.
It's 10:34 on this Friday. Hope you've had a great week and waking up on Friday pretty much like we went to bed to on Thursday. Clouds, areas of fog, and we've got rain moving through as well. Still dealing with some of these visibility issues right along Interstate 40. If you were to enter in Hartford on 40, drive all the way through Knoxville and out to Crossville, going to Nashville, dealing with patches of fog. We'll make some improvements here over the next couple of hours, but again today, I think it's going to be about the lunchtime before we're able to get rid of this half-mile range. Looking at what's going on from Crossville to Wartburg, widespread moderate to light rainfall and some sprinkles sprinkles off to the east. We just had one of those showers pass by downtown Knoxville, now moving into Jeff County up to Granger County and Bean Station. And a closer inspection shows you where some of this heavier rain is, right down the Oak Ridge Pike there and over to Wartburg, Oliver Springs, Clinton. You're next. Even though a few sprinkles for you now, you'll have more. All of this moving off to the east. Once this batch moves through at the lunchtime, we get a little more spotty in nature before some more redevelop as we get closer to that sunset tonight. 59 in Knoxville right now to 61 in Pigeon Forge, 59 Morristown, 60 for Kingston. Your first alert forecast for the rest of this day shows us that we keep the clouds. Even if it's not raining, it's dreary out there. 10 to 20% coverage all day, and that sunset tonight at 5:25. 70 is where we are for that high this afternoon. And you see here the rounds of rain that come through at noon. More with us through that 4 o'clock hour, staying with us 8:30. Some of you out and about for some evening plans like Morristown over to Bean Station, Rutledge, all dealing with some passing downpours overnight tonight, and then waking up on Saturday morning with spotty rain across the area. Can't rule out that you'll have some rain on your windshields here and there, but then Saturday will start to clear things out, making way for sunshine for our Sunday. Looking at about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch by the time all is said and done for us today with the rain until Saturday at 5 o'clock. So not all of us have downpours for the next 24 hours. We're just going to be in and out of it, if you will. So 59 overnight tonight with batches of rain moving through, keeping the clouds all day long for you on your Saturday. Staying in the 60s for the afternoon, and then down in Florida, a little bit warmer there with more sunshine. 73 for the kick in your Vol forecast presented by Food City. 7:30 in Gainesville, and then by the time we get the post-game activities, not cooling all that much at 65. Back here at home, that's our high about, so to speak, on Sunday at 64. Looking at sunshine all across the board. Sunday's your calm, pleasant day, I think, to go check out Cades Cove or a hike, your favorite hike in the Smokies or your neighborhood. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, big travel days across the entire country, and we've got some raindrops in our part of the region.
All righty, Kyle, appreciate it. Well, SNAP recipients have received their full benefits this week, but we're still hearing some confusion on whether recipients need to reapply for SNAP. According to experts, if you were already receiving SNAP benefits this month, you do not need to reapply. You only need to reapply if you're in your normal window to renew. That, or if you got a notice from the Department of Human Services to reapply. Well, there are new work requirements which took effect this month for people between ages of 18 and 65 on SNAP who do not have a disability or do not live with children under the age of 14. Now, to qualify, you must work, volunteer, or be in a job training program for at least 20 hours a week. This also impacts previous exemptions to veterans, homeless, and all families with children, regardless of age. All right, next Thursday, a week from today, is Thanksgiving, and you might already be preparing for that big meal. If you think your bill was a little higher, you are not wrong. In Tennessee, the cost of ingredients for a typical Thanksgiving dinner is up by 10.5% this year. That's according to the University of Tennessee's Family and Consumer Sciences Department. The average cost to feed 10 people comes out to just more than $128 this year. That's up more than $12 from a year ago. The researchers behind the report blame the price difference on avian flu's impact on turkey and egg industries. That's the bird flu. Well, the Love Kitchen is already starting to make its Thanksgiving meals. They feed homeless, disabled, and elderly folks in East Knox all year round. They're providing full holiday dinners for Thanksgiving. Volunteers are also putting together emergency food boxes to keep people from going hungry. They say you can drop in and they'll make sure that you are taken care of.
There's 3 questions that we ask. The first one is, do you have any food allergies? Because a lot of people have peanut allergies, so I'm not going to give them a jar of peanut butter. The second one is, do you have a can opener? Now, that's one that I'd never even thought of until I started doing this, but not everyone has a can opener. And so if somebody like that, I will get up them Pop-Tops. And so I will save back the Pop-Tops for people that don't have can openers. And then the third thing is, do you have a way to heat stuff?
They expect more than 100 people to show up next Wednesday and Thursday. Well, right now, child care costs are nearing the price of rent in many East Tennessee, or many Tennessee cities at that. A new report from Lending Tree shows the average cost of care for an infant is just 25% lower than the cost of a 2-bedroom apartment. Here's how it breaks down in Tennessee. Here in Knoxville, the cost of care averaging just $374 a month less than rent prices. Memphis, number 35 on the list, with a difference of just $181. Infant care costs In Nashville, about $578 less than the rental average. Adding a second child in each of those cities easily puts the cost over that of renting. WVLT is proud to be your official station of the Vols, and another W for the men's basketball team. They beat Tennessee State 89-60 last night. The Vols are now 5-0 on the season. A bunch of top 10 opponents are coming up next, though. Meanwhile, the Lady Vols also getting it done against an in-state rival. They beat Middle Tennessee on the road 85-41. Tennessee will be back at home Sunday on the Summit to take on Coppin State. Tip-off for that game, 2 o'clock. And then check out what the football Vols are wearing against the Gators down in the swamp. They're going with the classic road unis, white helmets, white jerseys, and white breeches. Tennessee is looking to defeat Florida in the swamp for the first time since 2003, 22 years. Kickoff for Saturday's game is set for 7:30. But make sure to join us before the game 2 hours ahead of kickoff for Volunteer Game Day, live from Gainesville. You'll hear exclusive interviews with David Hobbs, Braylon Staley also. We're also set to talk with former Vol standout Jason Swain on the last team to beat the Gators in Gainesville. Mike Keith, voice of the Vols, Heath Schuler, VFL, and Brittany Tarwater will have everything you need to know Saturday evening, 5:30 on the Tennessee Valley Sports Network. You could find that as My VLT and, of course, streaming right here on WVLT inside the app. Well, starting tonight, 4 of the best college swim teams in the country are competing in a way that's never been done before. UT, Virginia, Michigan, and Arizona State are all competing in a 7-meet, 3-day double elimination tournament at Allen Jones on UT's campus. 24 Olympians will all compete and more than 60 All-Americans. It starts today at 3 o'clock. Tennessee swims Michigan starting at 6. Tickets are available, but if you cannot make it in person, you can catch it on the SEC Network Plus. Now, for the Memphis Grizzly fans out there, a few games set to air right here on WVLT. While other games will be airing on our other channels, the next game is Wednesday as they take on the New Orleans Pelicans. That game will air at 8 o'clock on the CW Knoxville. We've got the full schedule for you inside the As Seen On section of your WVLT News app. Well, right now, some local artists are making one-of-a-kind creations using material from Neyland Stadium and the basketball court. Here's some of the things they're making. Different kinds of tables, all made from, get this, the bathroom doors in Neyland. Rings from the concrete and some limited edition serving trays, all made of checkerboard, yep, from inside the stadium.
The stuff coming out of the Neyland Stadium is historic in its own right. So it piqued my interest, and that evolved into us going in with this company called Collect You, and supporting them and their effort to make product things that were coming out of the Neyland Stadium, creating things that would be of interest to the UT fan base.
The collection can be seen at the Handmade Table in Knoxville. There will also be a couple products at the Graduate Hotel during the Vandy game next weekend. The money collected will go to the Tennessee Fund, which is the school's fundraising program for the athletics department.
We the People, celebrating 250 years of America. Sponsored by Garza Law Firm.
We're continuing to highlight cool things that happened in our country leading up to the 250th birthday. On this date in 1789, North Carolina ratified the Constitution and became our nation's 12th state. Now, North Carolina is known for several famous firsts, including having the first public university in the United States. That's the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Then being the location of the Wright brothers' first engine-powered flight also. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can stay up to date inside WVLT's News app on WVLT.tv on your desktop and all of our social media pages.